Hi, welcome to another segment of People Are Talking. You've been looking for great things to talk about here in the great city of Springfield, Mass. I'm going to tell you, we have a jewel right smack in the middle of Forest Park. I love it. Most of the residents are familiar with the old version of what it used to be. The Bing Theater is now called the Bing Arts Center. That's it, right?
That's it, Daryl.
I got it?
That's it. You got it. First shot.
Here we
First
go.
shot.
And I'm sitting here with Brian Hale, and he's the individual who fought to bring it back along with the committee of folks. And we're going to talk about Brian, we're going to talk about the committee, we're going to talk about the Bing Arts Center, and we're going to tell you why you need to be here to support this institution. Because I tell you, I love Springfield, I love being downtown, I love the parks, but I love the arts. And I tell you, well, I'm going to slow down. We're going to talk to Brian.
Well, we're working on a vision here, Daryl. And I know you and I are on the same page, arts vision-wise in Springfield. And we're very pleased to have an advocate like you in the mayor's office, believe me. My name is Brian Hale. I grew up in Springfield, attended the Springfield schools, went to AIC, graduated from there. I won't tell you how long ago, it was a long time. But Springfield, I've always been telling people that have said, well, what about Springfield? Why do you stay in Springfield? I said, well, I love the area. I mean, we've got a great location. We've got tons of potential. Well, I'm pushing retirement age, and I'm still talking about potential, but I think we're a little closer to having some alternative arts potential than we've been in a long time. Many people remember the Zone Arts Center that closed in 1995, I believe it was. But you know, for many years, I've been driving by the Bing Theater. It was closed in '99 for non-payment of taxes. City took it to hopefully to have it redeveloped as something more positive for the community than a blighted building just sitting there. Anyway, I was really frustrated by driving by the Bing and seeing it empty and going out of town to find cool stuff to do. You know, we're going to Northampton, we're going to Great Barrington, down to Hartford, up to North Adams, what have you. Always leaving town. I mean, I love the symphony. There's a lot of good stuff in Springfield, don't get me wrong. But for independent film, cutting edge art, lots of interesting things like that, you pretty much had to leave town to do it. And I felt like the Bing would have been a great place to do it. Well, anyway, in '99, the city took the theater and my wheels started turning. A few friends of mine came, and my wife and myself, who's also a friend, luckily for me, we came through here on a check it out and said, you know, this would be really a great art center. The city was entertaining proposals. Anyway, long story short, another arts group became a preferred developer. Unfortunately, the project it's very daunting. And they threw up their hands after about a year, and it went back, and the city was like, okay, I don't know what we're going to do. Anyway, the ex-Main Street Corporation was created in '95 to revitalize the Forest Park Commercial District. And my business, Design Workshop, which is now over the Indian Orchard Mills, I've been trying to move away from the project in one way, business-wise, but in another way I've been more and more involved. We used to be over on the corner of White Street and Sumner, and we moved up there. Anyhow, I was involved with ex-Main Street as a businessman and an advisor and design committee. We do graphic design, signs, that kind of thing. Anyway, I started pitching it to the board and saying, you know, if we're doing neighborhood revitalization, there's no better way than to leverage the arts and the creative economy, bring people to the neighborhood, have events going on, let's get that place open again. So people were like, yeah, it sounds like a good idea, Brian. So, well, you're going to take the point on this? I was like, well, yeah, I guess, you know, somebody had to do it. So anyway, a small group kind of shared my vision and we started working on it. Scott Hansen was the executive director of the ex-Main Street at that point. Scott was really excited about the project. He's since bailed and went to work with you guys at the city. Yep. Smart move by Scott. But anyway, he's still very supportive of the project. And I mean, the mayor has been. I mean, the mayor used to come in here as a kid, load up on candy, and come in here and spend all day, along with the rest of us who spend many Saturdays here. Anyway, in 2004, we ended up buying the place from the city for $2. And some people say we got robbed. But be that as it may, we've managed to raise probably about $300,000 that have gone into this project since then. And it's all been focused at this point, up until now, of getting the front section open and working as an art center. As you've seen, we have 3 rooms being used as gallery space. We're in the old lobby here, which is now a multi-purpose space. We have events here. We've been having a First Friday series since last October, coming up on a year already. We officially opened on June 5th. We've had some education classes. We have motion picture production for kids. We've had a couple of those. We're developing a collaborative partnership with White Street School. They're 2 blocks down. Those kids have no arts instruction at all at this point, unfortunately, and we're trying to find a way to leverage our resources, which are creative and idea-wise, and energy with the school, has the kids, and they're a level 4 school. We're hoping that with some funding we can get some equipment and do some stuff with the kids with motion picture production. Motion picture production is, I'm speaking to part of the choir here, I know, behind the camera. It's fascinating because it ties virtually everything. And you've got photography, you've got art direction, you've got writing, you've got conceptualizing, you have pitching your ideas, creating storyboards, figuring budgets. It's a wonderful way to build collaborative team development, and it's a fabulous thing for kids. They feel really excited about it, they love to act, but all the planning and learning to work together. Kids who have worked together on a movie, they're going to be good employees somewhere, because they know how to conceptualize. It's real world, future world skills. And Daryl and I are a little on the older side. I'm, I think, a bit older than Daryl, like probably half a generation or so, just a little bit. But anyway, I'm still thinking young, and as my wife says, I'm still very immature for my age, so I hold on to that. But when we were growing up, literacy, I know you're a poet, I do some writing and singing, but we were on the cusp of the generation which video literacy really became big. Now, digital video literacy is huge, and without training kids to really leverage that for the future and the way it's developing, we're missing the boat.
Right.
So our feeling is this is a great, we're hoping to establish a pilot program here at the Bing in conjunction with White Street School, and hopefully with other schools to develop that. So that's our education piece. Our exhibition piece is contemporary art on a regular basis here in our gallery space. 40,000 cars a day going by right here in the neighborhood, so people can come see contemporary art without having to drive far. A lot of people can walk. That's one of the things. Parking, we've all experienced the difficulty with parking here, but this place opened in 1950 and closed in '99. It was a 900-seat hall, and it never had parking.
Right.
It was a neighborhood place. People walked, they parked on close-by streets. That's still feasible, but we want to find ways. Our goal is not to be that big, but we do need to find some creative ways.
Absolutely.
People say, hey, you can do valet parking. We've talked about maybe getting diagonal parking on the street behind. You know, maybe we can work things out with the restaurants, you know, a show and dinner or something.
It also encourages more neighbor-to-neighbor interaction.
Exactly.
Citywide interaction, because if I really want to see something at the Bing, and I have friends in the Forest Park neighborhood, it's just a matter of driving over, hey, Brian, let's walk over to the Bing. And that's a good thing. My brother once owned a restaurant up the street, and the majority of his business was walk-in traffic. So, I mean, sometimes we want to keep people in the neighborhoods because we have beautiful neighborhoods.
Yeah,
you know, when you're in the middle of the sea, you don't realize how beautifully blue the water is. And that's the Forest Park neighborhood.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful.
It is. And we're so close to those other neighborhoods too. People come, we have our artists that are being featured from East Hampton and Northampton, and they brought friends down for the receptions, and we were talking about it. I said, well, you know, this neighborhood alone has 26,000 people. That's Northampton right there. In one neighborhood. Then we have East Forest Park. We have 16 acres where I live, just over the line. You know, we're just down behind Talmadge School. Over 20,000 people, big area. Then we have the Tony suburbs. And I'm not making fun of the suburbs at all. They're part of Springfield too, because where are they going for culture?
Greater Springfield, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we're all in this together. We have the inner city neighborhoods. We have the South End. We have Six Corners a mile over this way. I mean, a 5-mile, 6-mile radius around the Bing Arts Center, the economic and socioeconomic diversity is unbelievable. You've got Section 5, you've got millionaires, you've got everybody in between.
And you know what? In other cities, they talk about the creative economy. The mayor talks about it all the time. As you talk about, you know, stimulating, you know, growth in the community. I mean, where else besides arts and culture? I mean, even when we talk about some of the social issues that people tend to focus on sometimes, it's like, instead of focusing on the negative, to really focus on something positive.
It's all connected.
Talk about poetry, art, I mean, there's crafts, movies, you name it, we have it. And it's
stuff that makes us civilized.
Exactly. And it's like, what better place to start than the Bing? It has a really strong history in the city of Springfield, not just in this neighborhood, but throughout the city. And to bring it here, and I tell you, keep your eyes open for the Bing because there are some great days ahead. And when you see, if you can fast forward 5 years and see what the Bing will be,
That's our vision, Daryl.
I'm overly anxious. I can't wait.
Same here. People come in and they get frustrated because they go, well, what about the theater? And I go, well, what about the money? And I said, we've got the plans, but even a couple people on the board were a little frustrated. Well, people aren't going to be impressed. I said, hold on now. There's a big room out in the back, and nobody wants that open more than I do because we know what can happen. But if you forget about that room, we say, okay, this was a blighted, abandoned property.
Right.
It's now a vital gallery. We have events, we have education, we have performances of various kinds, we have neighborhood meetings, Forest Park Civic meets here.
Right.
We have all that going on. Now, how is that not a triumph?
I watched the Will Smith thing on, I'm a Facebook junkie sometimes. And
Oh, yeah.
Will Smith, he talks about where in Philadelphia his dad tore down the wall of the
Yeah.
store that they owned. And he told the kids to rebuild that wall. And he said they were taught to not focus on the wall itself, but just laying down one brick at a time,
Yeah.
as perfectly as possible. And when I look at what's being done here at the Bing under your leadership, and it's a great thing. You're really rebuilding that wall,
Thanks.
one perfect brick at a time. You
Good
have
analogy.
the gallery, we have the Friday Night Live with the live concerts, comics, you name it. It's happening right here. So when you're looking for something to do, start in your neighborhood. I mean, it's recession-proof. Number one, we can't talk about price, but it's so inexpensive. I tell you, it's almost free.
It's almost criminal.
The talent is incredible. You can't lose. Then when you talk about convenience, it's right around the corner. I mean, I like to travel. I'll go to Boston, I'll go to New York, I'll even go to Hartford. And it's like when you think about the amount of money you spend in gas and traffic and finding parking, when you go to some of the larger cities, you're paying an incredible amount of money just to park. When you can stay right here in Springfield, drive around the corner, grab some pizza from across the street, make yourself at
Yeah.
home, get
Good
refreshments.
restaurants right in the neighborhood.
Yeah. And
Long
it's,
walk, typical Sicilian down the road, a touch of garlic right over here.
it's all right here. So again, this is People Are Talking. If you really want something to talk about, let's talk about the Bing Arts Center. And if you want to know how you can get involved,
Call 731-9730. That phone routes to my cell, so if you call, you'll talk to me. You can also go to bingartscenter.org, or you can email info@bingartscenter.org, and we'll talk.
and
Thanks, Daryl.
understand, this isn't just the project of Brian and the committee that's working with the board. This isn't just their project. This is your project. This is the city of Springfield. You can always use donations, donations, and donations. I tell you, close your eyes and just imagine for a moment. You walk into the Bing, there's something happening here in the lobby. Then you go into the theater, and there's this concert, classical music, opera, there's jazz, there's soul, there's rock. Whatever your mind can conceive, it can happen right here. But we can't do it without your help. Again, we're the city of Springfield, we are a community, we're a family. Let's make it happen. Right, Brian?
Sounds good. I'm with you.
Thank you for
Thank
being on People Are Talking,
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
and we'll be right back with you.